Richard Donner, the veteran filmmaker behind the Goonies, Superman, and all 4 films in the Lethal Weapon franchise, has died. He was 91. The producer and director, who was born on April 24, 1930 in the Bronx, died on Monday. His production company, the Donner's Company, confirmed to People. No immediate cause of death was shared. Donner's career began as an actor, but he soon pivoted towards directing. He helmed a number of commercials and television episodes throughout the 60s, including Wanted, Dead or Alive, The Loretta Young Show, Route 66, The Rifleman, The Man from UNCLE, Gilligan's Island, Perry Mason, The Wild Wild West, Get Smart, The Fugitive, and The Twilight Zone, including Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, one of the series' most revered episodes. On the big screen, Donner directed a few films like 1961's X-15, 1968's Salt and Pepper, and 1971's London Affair, before his big break came around with 1976's classic horror film, The Omen. That film grossed over $60 million at the box office, making back well over its $2 million budget. Its success catapulted Donner's career forward. He directed the original 1978 Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason in 1982's The Toy, and Michelle Pfeiffer in 1985's Lady Hawk. The Goonies, in 1985, was Donner's first family film foray, something he repeated again in 1992's Radio Flyer. Its success catapulted Donner's career forward. He directed the original 1978 Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason in 1982's The Toy, and Michelle Pfeiffer in 1985's Lady Hawk. The Goonies, in 1985, was Donner's first family film foray, something he repeated again in 1992's Radio Flyer. He also directed 1987's Lethal Weapon, with Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, and all 3 of the franchise's additional installments. Other credits include Scrooged, 1988, Maverick, 1994, Assassins, 1995, Conspiracy Theory, 1997, and Timeline, 2003, and most recently, 2006's 16 Blocks. Donner formed the Donner's Company in 1986 alongside his wife and fellow producer Lauren Shuler. It was first named Donner/Shuler Donner Productions before making the switch to its current name in 1999. The company had its first major success in 1993, with Free Willy, which spawned multiple sequels and a television series. For several decades, the company had had a joint partnership with Warner Brothers. Successes have included the X-Men movies, Deadpool, Just Married, She's the Man, The Secret Life of Bees, and shows like Legion and The Gifted.
Well, that was before I came on board. They were preparing this film for 2 years. But when I came on board, I wanted an unknown. Because I thought it'd be pretty tough convincing an audience to see Redford in a Superman suit flying. Not that he's not a great actor, but that then I figured an unknown could make it work. So for me, it was pretty simple. The casting was tough, but it was pretty simple, the idea that somewhere out there. And when we met Chris Reeve, you'd never think of him as Superman, because he was 20-some-odd or 30-some-odd pounds lighter than he was when he played the role, and he had kind of a honey brown hair and everything. But he was an actor, and he convinced me that he could play.
Brando aboard, and I understand Chris Reeve was dying to do a line with Mr. Brando. Talk about a little bit about that relationship.
Oh, well, Chris Reeve was a very special, forgetting the fact he was an actor, he was really a special kid, special guy. I loved him. He was a very good friend, a very genuine, honest person, and of course, as an actor, I was as starstruck working with Brando as anybody else, and Chris wanted to have, a scene with Brando. I forget what it was, but we did some I'm known for putting people on and having laughs, and it usually loosens up a set and gets rid of tensions. And I forget what we did with Chris. There was something that he had to do with Marlon. It was one line, and
is it Who Am I? Right?
Yeah, Who Am I or something, and we told Marlon all about it, and I think Marlon stopped. He looked at Chris and said, "Is that way you're going to read it?" And Chris went, "Boy," and of course it was a put on.
He put you on too, though, didn't he, in the first
Brando?
meeting? Yeah, when you guys went to talk about the character.
Oh yeah, That's long. That I was warned Brando was tough, and his toughness was simple. That if he convinced me that he didn't have to be in the movie, but he would be paid for it anyway, he would. That's the way he liked to work. And I was a wonderful man named Jay Cantor, who was a wonderful producer and studio exec, and ran a big agency, I feel, but he was Brando's agent. And he warned me of this, and then Coppola told me, also warned me. He said, "Marlon loved to talk, and he said he's very bright, and if you really listen, if there's anything adversarial, he'll talk himself out of it." And so between Jay's advice and Marlon's advice and Francis's, I was pretty much prepared for. But when the time came, he threw me even. He was brilliant. He could really, if he could convince you that his character could be a green suitcase or a bagel, and you would photograph that bagel, he wouldn't have to come to work, but he would come in for the voiceover somewhere at his pleasure. But it ended up a delightful guy. Wonderful, very funny, very bright, very witty, very well read. Delight to work
How
with.
difficult was it to get the Salkinds?
Sorry?
How difficult was it to get the Salkinds to agree? And in the extra features,
The
cast,
who?
the Ilya Salkind, the Salkind.
Silicon, I know the name. Look, at a given point, I was making a different movie than they wanted to, so we didn't get along that well. You just kind of persevered.
When did that relationship begin to go south? Was there a point during production or pre-production where that relationship with the Salkinds began to go south? Or was it a pivotal thing, or was it a kind of slow progression?
No, it was kind of obvious from them. I think Ilya wanted to make a movie. I think his father and everybody involved that they had brought in production-wise, I mean, they wanted to make a movie, but they wanted to save every single penny they could and not spend it. And you don't make a movie of that sort at that time, pre-computers, everything, where we had to have the money to do things. So in the very beginning, the fallout started with what I wanted to do, and I would find they had production guys that I would say, I would in pre-production have something organized, and I'd go to do it, and it was changed, and I would go ballistic that they had changed it without my knowing. And so that it kind of started at the beginning.
The commentary is a constant referral to you smashing. I assume those were some of those phone calls, perhaps.
It was just always a handy thing around. And I'm not I'm anything but a temperamental guy. And but I was ready to walk out so many times I can't tell you. But I couldn't abandon it. But it was tough. It was tough. Yeah, the phones took the penalty of my.
Rest in power, King.